Hello guys, today I am again come back to the discussion of the fourth part of solved question paper of 2018 of English literature. So let's go. Directions. Read the following passage and answer the question. I have carried the manuscript of these translations about with me 4 days, reading it in railway trains or on the top of omnibuses and in restaurants, and I have often had to close it lest some stranger would see how much it moved me. These lyrics, which are in the original, my Indian friend tell me, full of subtlety of rhythm, of untranslatable delicacies of color, of material invention, display in thought a world I have dreamed of all my life long, the work of a supreme culture, they yet display in thought a world I have dreamed of all my life long, the work of a supreme culture, they yet appear as much a growth of the common soil as the grass and the rushes, a tradition where poetry and religion are the same thing has passed though through the centuries, gathering from learned and unlearned metaphor and emotion, and carried back again to the multitude the thought of the scholar and the noble. If the civilization of Bengal remains unbroken, if that common mind which as one divines runs through all, is not as with us broken into a dozen minds that know nothing of each other, something even of what is most subtle in these verses will have come in a few generations in the beggar on the roads. W.B. Yeats and Rabindranath Tagore have a very strong historical and biographical relationship revolving around the fact that Tagore's first champion in the West, the person most responsible for his initial success outside of India, was Yeats. After reading some Tagore's self-translated poems, Yeats was instrumental in getting the collection published, in spreading the word about Tagore in the literary circles in London. Perhaps most importantly, Yeats wrote the introduction to Tagore's Gitanjali, which first appeared in 1913. The introduction is notable for a number of reasons, one of which is so coarse, its ecstatic enthusiasm for a writer that no one in England have ever heard of. Rabindranath Tagore came into Yeats' life in 1912. Gitanjali, or Song Offering, is a collection of poems translated by the author Rabindranath Tagore from the original Bengali. This collection won the Nobel Prize for Tagore in 1913. This volume includes the original introduction by William Butler Yeats that accompanied the 1911 English language version. Which of the following had the alternative title Things as They Are? Horace Walpole's The Castle of Otranto, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Sir Walter Scott's Waverley, William Godwin's Caleb Williams. What is the answer? Option number D is the answer by William Godwin's Caleb Williams. If we discuss about its detail, Things as They Are, or The Adventures of Caleb Williams, often abbreviated to Caleb Williams, 1794, by William Godwin, is a 3-volume novel written as a call to end the abuse of power by what Godwin saw as a tyrannical government, intended as a popularization of the ideas presented in his 1793 treatise Political Justice. Godwin uses Caleb Williams to show how legal and other institutions can and do destroy individuals, events when the people the justice system touches are innocent of any crime. This reality in Godwin's mind was therefore a description of things as they are. Next question is, in imitation of which classical poet did Samuel Johnson write his London and the Vanity of Human Wishes? Option A, Horace; B, Homer; C, Juvenal; D, Tasso. So what is the answer? The option number C is the answer, Juvenal. Samuel Johnson, often referred to as Dr. Johnson, was an English writer who made lasting contributions to English literature as a poet, playwright, essayist, moralist, literary critic, biographer, editor, and lexicographer. The Vanity of Human Wishes has been considered to be a challenging poem ever since it was first published in 1749. Like London, the Vanity of Human Wishes is an imitation of one of the styles of Roman poet Juvenal, whose works date to the 1st and 2nd centuries. Both poems by Samuel Johnson present a sequence of people who desire something: power, glory, fame, a long life, but who then inevitably discover that their wishes are hollow. Where London was more or less a political poem, taking a stance in opposition to the Walpole's government and its corruption. The Vanity of Human Wishes is more moralistic and philosophical, pondering the place of desire in human life. Next question is, identify the character a black-eyed dwarf who constantly revealed a few discolored fangs that were yet scattered in his mouth and gave him the aspect of a pinching dog. Options are Mulberry Hawk in 𝗘𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗵, B. Regent in Little Dorrit, C. Mr. Crook in Bleak House, D. Daniel Q in the Old Curiosity Shop. So what is the answer? Option number D is the answer, Daniel Q The Old Curiosity Shop. If we discuss about its detail, Daniel Q is one of the main antagonists in the novel The Old Curiosity Shop by Charles Dickens, written in 1840. Charles John Hoffen Dickens was an English writer and social critic. He created some of the world's best known fictional characters and is regarded by many as the greatest novelist of the Victorian era. Q is a vicious, ill-tempered, and grotesque dwarf, and he is the villain of the story. Next question is, there are helpers and harmers among fellow pilgrims in Christian's journey in Pilgrim's Progress. Who among the following is not a helper? Option A, Mr. Worldly Wiseman; B, Goodwill; C, the interpreter; D, the evangelist. So what is the answer? Option number A is the answer, Mr. Worldly Wiseman. If we discuss about each detail, The Pilgrim's Progress, religious allegory by English writer John Bunyan, published in two parts in 1678 and 1684. The work is a symbolic vision of the good man's pilgrimage through life, at one time second only to the Bible in popularity. The Pilgrim's Progress is the most famous Christian allegory still in print. Mr. Worldly Wiseman, a resident of a place called 𝗘𝗲𝗄𝗃, who persuades Christian to go out of his way to being helped by a friend named Mr. Legality, and then move to the city of morality, which focuses salvation on the law and good deeds instead of faith and love in Jesus Christ. His real advice is from the world and not from God, meaning his advice is flawed and consists of three objectives: getting Christian off the right path, making the cross of Jesus Christ offensive to him, and blinding him to the law so he would die with his sins. Goodwill is the keeper of the wicket gate, through which one enters the straight and narrow way to the celestial city. Later we find he is none other than Jesus Christ himself. The interpreter is a critical figure for both Christian and Christiana as they make their pilgrimage. Evangelist is the religious man who puts Christian on the path to the celestial city. He also shows Christian's book, which readers assume to be the Bible. Next question is adherents of the 14th century religious movement associated with vernacular preaching, translation of New Testament into English, and challenges to the authority of priests and bishops were called levelers, distus, lollard, agonists. So what is the answer? The option number C is the answer, lollards. Lollards were a group of anti-clerical English Christians who lived between the late 1300 and the early 1500s. The Lollards were followers of John Wycliffe, the Oxford University theologian and Christian reformer, who translated the Bible into vernacular English. The Lollards believed that the church should help people to live a life of evangelical poverty and imitate Christ. Their ideas influenced the thought of John Huss, who in turn influenced Martin Luther. Match the term with the theorist. Term theorist. Terms: negritude, humanism, interpolation, public sphere. Theorist: Alice Walker, J. Habermas, 𝗚𝗏, Louis Althusser. So what is the answer? The option number D is the answer. So if we discuss about its detail, A3. Negritude is a framework of critique and literary theory developed mainly by Francophone intellectual, writer, and politician of the African diaspora during the 1930s. Its initiators includes Martinican poet 𝗚𝗏, Leopold Sédar Senghor, and Léon Damas of French Guiana. Negritude. Intellectuals disavowed colonialism and argued for the importance of Pan-African racial identity among people of African descent worldwide. B1. Womanism, a term coined by Alice Walker to set aside mainstream white feminists from feminist women of color and primarily to resist anti-blackness within the feminist movement. C. For interpolation in Marxist theory is an important concept regarding the notion of ideology by French philosopher Louis Althusser. According to Althusser, every society is made up of ideological state apparatus, ISA, and repressive state of apparatus, RSA, which are instrumental of constant reproduction of the relation to production of that given society. D2. The public sphere is an area in social life where individuals can come together to freely discuss and identify societal problems and through that discussion influence political action. Such a discussion is called public debate and is defined as the expression of views on matters that are of concern to the public, often but not always, with opposing or diverging views being expressed by participants in the discussion. The next question is, in his essay The Function of Criticism at the Present Time, 1864, Matthew Arnold contended that A. Creative and critical power should be ranked equally. Option B. Creative and critical powers are not comparable in any way. C. Critical power should be ranked higher than creative power. D. Creative power should be ranked higher than critical power. So what is the answer? Option number D is the answer. Creative power should be ranked higher than critical power. If we discuss about its detail, Matthew Arnold was an English poet and cultural critic who worked as an inspector of schools. He He essay The Function of Criticism at the Present Time was published by Matthew Arnold in his first collection of critical writing, Essay in Criticism, in 1865. The essay deals with the Arnold's interpretations of criticism and his critique of writers who write politically or religiously biased literature, thus narrowing its scope. In the very beginning of the essay, Arnold admits that the critical faculty is lower than the creative one, but it is critical activity which makes creation possible. Successful creation requires a current of best and noble ideas, but such a current is not always available, and in such uncognizant time, creative activities suffer. Next question. David Marlowe's novel Ransom is based on option A. A war memoir by Edmund Blandon, B. An episode in the Mahabharata, C. A war poem of 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃, D. An episode in the Trojan War. So what is the answer? Option number D is the answer, an episode of Trojan War. If we discuss about its detail, David George Joseph Marlowe is an Australian writer. He was awarded the Nostalgia International Prize for Literature in 2000. His 1993 novel Remembering Babylon won the International 𝗫𝗄𝗄 Dublin Literary Award in 1996. He won the inaugural Australia Asia Literary Award in 2008, and he was shortlisted for the Booker Prize in 2016. He received the Australia Council Award for Lifetime Achievement in Literature. David Marlowe's Ransom reimagines the tragic story at the heart of Iliad. Achilles mourns his childhood friend Patroclus after he is killed by Hector. Achilles takes his revenge by killing Hector in battle and discarding his body. This story begins with Achilles mourning the death of Patroclus, who is described as his kinsman, cousin, or lover in various books and films during the Trojan War. And today's final question is: the title of Dylan Thomas' Death of the Entrances was taken from A. William Shakespeare's Macbeth, B. John Donne's Death's Duel, C. Rudyard Kipling's A Deathbed, D. T.S. Eliot's Murder in Cathedral. So what is the answer? The answer is option B, John Donne's Death Duel. If we discuss about its detail, Dylan Thomas remains one of the legendary figures in 20th century poetry, both for the impact in his visionary musical verse for the notoriety of his private life. Born in 𝗀𝗏𝗃, Wales, Thomas was named after a character in the collection of medieval Welsh tales. Dylan Thomas' Death and Entrances was written during the London Blitz. Its title is taken from a sermon, Death's Duel, by great metaphysical poet John Donne, who was also Dean of St. Paul's. In Death and Entrances, Dylan ponders what it means to be killed in incendiary rage. On the one hand, we stop being since we die. On the other hand, we become permanent after we are dead. We stop changing. So in the next video, I will again discuss about its next series of this part. Short question paper 2018. So thank you.